Rugby World Cup 2023, folks. Pool D, a straight shootout for a quarterfinal spot between Japan and Argentina this weekend. We're going to go through some squads, some stats, recent history, predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. Genuinely looks to be a really tight game. I mean, Argentina and Japan have both won their games against Chile and Samoa. They both lost to England. Argentina's 9th in the world. Japan is 12th. Yeah, they're relatively kind of evenly matched. Argentina are obviously favourites, and we'll get to that in a second, but there's been a lot of big scorelines in this Rugby World Cup, and this game looks like it could be an edge-of-your-seat one. I hope so, but yeah, we'll obviously have to see how things play out. Japan have kept things remarkably stable. They are still without Nagare. A calf injury, I believe, is keeping him out. Kenta Fukuda is the reserve halfback for this one, with Naoto Saito getting the nod as your starting halfback, and he had that same job last week when they had Nagare pull out kind of late. Same front row with Inagaki, Horie, and Gu. So it's the veterans in the front row. And scrum time is going to be a genuinely interesting battle because the Argentinian pack is not generally one that wins like games at scrum time. It's not really been, I know it used to be an element of their game many years ago, but yeah, parity is usually more where they're at, where they're up against kind of big packs, but yeah, who knows how that one is going to go. Cornelsen and Fakatava are the second row, and both those guys have been really impressive. Fakatava is one of the better ball-carrying locks in the game, and then Cornelsen is one of Japan's top tacklers. So in a side which makes a lot of tackles, that is quite saying something. And then the back row, Leitch, Labuschagne, and Himeno, also pretty senior. There's some veterans in there as well. Himeno is the only guy of those three in his 20s, and he captains the side from number 8. Labuschagne and Leitch have certainly got some tackles in them, and Leitch has kind of rolled back the clock, man. Or if he never just was affected by the clock. He just seems to be playing like a man on fire. He's winning lineouts, making tackles, scoring tries. I mean, each one of those back rows scored a try last week against Samoa. So, yeah, it's a good-looking forward pack. Saito and Matsuda continue on at 9-10. I mentioned Saito would normally be, I think, on the bench for this one. With Nagare being out injured, he is continuing on in the number 9 jersey. Nakamura and Riley continue on in the midfield, so very steady. And then the back three is a slight change with Fifita coming in on the left wing. I think they said that he's been injured, so that's kind of what's kept him out of the side up until this point. So Nakamura, who I thought has been pretty impressive, he drops to the bench. Matsushima continues on, and Lemeki with that big boot of his is there as well. I mean, Matsushima, alongside Himeno, have been your two top ball-carrying guys for the Japanese, so you would think those guys are going to be pretty important from the forwards and the backs. And, yeah, Leitch and Cornelsen getting involved as well, especially defensively. I mean, Labuschagne is a bit of a tackling machine too, but yeah, there's a lot of tackles in this Japanese side. What can I say? It helps that they don't play with the ball that much. Sakate, Millar, and Valu, same front replacements. Derns is there. Salmaki comes in on the bench alongside Fukuda. So Fukuda is only getting a second cap for Japan as the halfback cover. Yamanaka is also there in Nakamura too, so there is no spot for Lee. This one, I think Yamanaka is a bit more versatile in the positions he can cover. For the Argentinians, they really changed their lineup last week, so they have kind of brought things after that game against Chile back to more what Michael Cheika seems to think is his stronger side. Gajo, Montoya, and Cordella, that's your front row. I don't mean to discount their ability at scrum time, but I don't think it's a dominant pack. Cordella, I think, is generally the key to getting scrum parity at least. He's a big lump of a, 38-year-old Argentinian piece of beef. That's a weird thing to say. He's a good scrummager at tight head. That's basically why he's in the team. Gajo is more your flair guy on the loose head side. I think his scrummaging is getting better, but he's still more known for his busting of tackles and whatnot. And then Montoya is captain at hooker. Guido Petti and Thomas Lavanini are the second row. So Lavanini is back after missing a couple of weeks with, I think, a bit of a niggling injury. And Petti is finally getting some regular game time under his belt. So that's a very familiar Argentinian locking duo, which we haven't seen for a while because both of them have been injured at various points, especially Petti. Matera is back into the side at number 6. Crema is still there at number 7. And then Juan Martin Gonzalez moves back to number 8 for this one, with Matera being back in the side. They've also got a very good back row. I mean, Marcos Crema is the top Argentinian tackler with like 31. So I think the next Argentina had 22, even though they've been changing the lineup a bit. So Matera being out probably doesn't help that from the last game, but Crema being consistently in the side probably helps with that. But yeah, he's a big physical specimen as well who likes to make people's lives miserable. Gonzalez is great in the air, and Matera, he's still Argentina's top carrier, despite the fact that he didn't even play against Chile. So that shows you his involvements in the first two games. Bertrano comes back into the side at number 9 alongside Santiago Carreras. I feel like a lot of Argentinian fans would have preferred the veteran Nico Sanchez to run the show at 10, being more of a natural playmaking 10. But it is back to Santi Carreras, so we'll see if they can exploit some of his gas for his running game. And Chocobares is also back into the side at number 12, replacing De La Fuente. And Cinti continues on at 13. Mateo Carreras is also back on the side. I think he is probably the best strike weapon in the Argentinian backline. He is great at finding space. He's great at beating tackles, and he's really kind of low to the ground, so he's able to kind of get those steps going. Boffelli with his goal kicking will be back on the right, and then Malia up from the bench at fullback. Bench-wise, Crevi, Sclavi, and Bejo all dropped to the bench. Alemano likewise, Rubiolo likewise. Bazan Valles continues on as the reserve halfback, and then Nico Sanchez is there too, alongside Matias Moroni, who can cover many positions in that backline. The recent history between these sides, not actually that recent. It's weird because I feel like as an All Blacks fan, we play Japan a decent amount, and we play Argentina every year. And I feel like a lot of the sides, like South Africa's got a bit of history with Japan in recent years, and the Aussies have played Japan, but it seems like Argentina doesn't really play Japan. It was 2016, the last time these guys played, and it was a 54-20 win to the Argentinians. And then the previous result to that goes all the way back to 2005. So you're looking at like 20-plus year-old results for some of these games, like back in the 1990s. In 1998, Japan did beat Argentina at home, which is the only victory they've ever had over Argentina. That was 44 points to 29. So Argentina usually have the wood over this Japanese side. Now, stats-wise for these two teams, they've scored pretty similar points in the same pool. Like Argentina has scored 88 points. Japan has scored 82 points. There's not much in that. Whereas Japan like to play with a lot of defending to be done. They don't play with much possession is the point that I'm trying to make. They're averaging like 168 tackles a game, like 40-odd% possession at most. Whereas Argentina have been playing with 50-plus every game. 50 against England, then I think 60-plus possession in their other two games. And they've only had to make 88 tackles a game, so a lot of ball. But they're scoring a similar amount of points. So it feels like Argentina looking more to suffocate you, whereas Japan are more likely to hit you on the break. Also, Japan, in their last game, finally got their kind of clinical edge with ball handling. Both these teams have been guilty of conceding a lot of turnovers. Like Japan, Game 1, conceded 17. Game 2, conceded 17. Game 3, a bit more clinical, only 7. Whereas Argentina, 16, 16, and 13. A fair bit of, ball dropped or turned over or knocked on or whatever it is. So, yeah, you feel like they're going to need to get that right, kind of like Japan got it right last week. They looked a lot better. Argentina's only conceded 6 clean breaks this entire competition, which speaks pretty well to how defensive they're going. It helps that they're playing with a lot of ball. You don't give the opposition much chance to break your line if they can't get the ball off you. Whereas Japan have conceded 17. But remember, they don't play with the ball. Whereas Argentina have conceded 33 penalties to Japan's 22, which is crazy when you consider Argentina got that much ball. How are you conceding that many penalties? So usually you feel like teams under defensive pressure concede the penalties, but not always the case. It is on at Nantes. It is a 1 o'clock in the afternoon game, which is midnight for me here in New Zealand. So I either get up to watch this one, or stay up to watch this one, and stay up until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then go to bed. And watch the other games much later, or I watch this one delayed. I haven't yet decided. Ben O'Keefe from New Zealand is the ref. Predictions-wise, Argentina by 14 is what the bookies say. Argentina by 9 is what the Rugby Forecast algorithm says. We will have to see. I feel like both these sides started this competition a bit lackluster, but are maybe both just starting to click. So whoever clicks a bit more sharper, will probably get the win. This one, Argentina's obviously favourites, but looks like it could be a genuinely good match. If you want to see me, up until this time, kickoff time, going across the Yangtze River in China, it's a pretty big old river. I talked to some old fellas, talked to an old fella about the river, as he was having a cigarette next to the Yangtze. I had a wee chat with him in Chinese. If you want to see that, up in the description. Sorry, I don't speak Japanese or Spanish, but I do speak a bit of Chinese. And if you'd like to see that, it's up in 2 cents on tour. So you guys, let us know your thoughts on the game. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.